G'day and welcome to another video with Better Pics. Today we're going to be looking at removing dust spots or dust on your sensor from images using Lightroom, and there's a couple of tricks in there and tools that make it super quick and easy. So today's video will be fairly quick, but certainly something that I think you'll find very useful in the future should you have any dust on your sensor, which at some stage most of us do. So both these images I photographed when working in Antarctica. As I had a trip to Nepal just before I went on this trip, and it was quite dusty, and obviously I was changing lenses on a regular basis. I did have some dust marks on my sensor, and unfortunately I didn't have time to have that cleaned before I left. So it meant that I have had to remove dust from all of the images that were edited as part of that trip. So you can see on the top left hand corner here there's a couple of dust marks. They're not majorly obvious, but certainly if you're printing an image to a larger than average size, in fact even a normal A4 or 8x12 inch image, you would definitely see these in the print. So always best to remove any blemishes or dust marks before you commit an image to printing. So there's a couple of tools that we can look at. If we just head over onto the top right hand side, you can see there's the spot removal tool, which is the one that we're going to be using today. And when I hover over there, you can see the shortcut is Q. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm a big user of shortcuts because they do definitely speed up workflow. So if I just click on that tool, you can see there's two options there, clone and heal. I tend to use heal a little bit more than clone, obviously depending on the image and the size of the mark that's appearing. However, my recommendation is always to test both options, particularly if you're not getting the results that you want to get with your images. So test both, play around with the various settings, and go with the results that give you what you are looking for. So size is obviously the size of the tool. You can see as I adjust that size, the preview of the tool on the left hand side there increases and decreases with size. Feather, as the name suggests, the feather allows for a soft blending of the adjustment that's being made. I usually add a little bit of feather just so that it's not an obvious edit, particularly on areas of sky where dust is most apparent and you tend to have smooth tones and shifts in color and density. And then opacity I generally leave on 100% because I want to remove the entirety of the issue that's there, which as I mentioned earlier is a dust mark. A nice tool that's available with the spot removal tool within Lightroom is this little option down the bottom here called Visualize Spots. Now quite often, as is the case with this image, the spots aren't always hugely obvious. You could increase your contrast, decrease your exposure a little bit. That tends to help to show exactly where the spots are a little bit. However, if you click on Visualize Spots, you can actually see it renders the image obviously very differently to what it actually is, but you can see that those spots become really obvious, and there's actually a spot down here that we didn't see, which is quite interesting. And there's a little slider there so that you can adjust the parameters or the sensitivity to any spots that might exist. If I just unclick that, and I'm going to just zoom in on that spot, and if I unclick Visualize, it's actually very difficult to see. Now on screen it may not appear, but certainly when you print it may appear. So that's just a handy tool to keep available to you so that you can actually adjust how easy it is to see these spots and then remove them. As you can see in this case, they're very obvious, whereas when I turn that off, they weren't as obvious. So that's just a quick and easy way to remove spots within Lightroom. Hope that's been helpful. As always, as I always mention, the best thing to do is experiment and test out different options, different settings, and go with the option that works best for the outcome that you're after based on the specific image that you're working on, remembering that the settings that you use for one image may be different for another, or the approach that you use. So it's always good to learn as much as you can about a specific tool. That way when you come to an image that has specific needs, you're able to take an approach that's going to give you the best outcome. Thanks again for stopping by, and look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care.